Welcome along to the Make It Count podcast. My name is David.
My name's Matt.
And we are the Taylor Bros.
Yes, we are. This is the third of our mini-series, Mindset Shifts. Bit of a tongue twister, that. Mindset Shifts.
You struggle with it every
mini-series.
episode, but I haven't picked you up on it yet, so...
It's alright, because this is the last one.
Yeah, you get to practice no more times.
Oh, what a shame. If only I'd done it better.
Yeah, what a terrible application of that. So... we couldn't come up with a pithy thing for this, partly because we disagreed a little bit about it.
On the concept,
because worry obviously takes up a lot of emotional energy. We spend time ruminating on it. We spend our emotional energy maybe in anxiety or having anxious thoughts about it. And so my theory was just not worrying, going from that negative to neutral. That's the shift. But you wanted to be like, well, what in your words, what did you want to say?
Well, in the same way, following up, it feels like, 1, 2, 3, but the 3 might be falling a little bit flat because like the first 2 mindset shifts were from a negative mindset to a positive, or a reactive to a proactive.
Yeah, so I have to get to, if only to next time.
Yes. And if this is just worry to not worry, doesn't really feel like we've maybe made the full leap that we could.
So what did you want to move it to?
Well, hope or something,
Or something, yeah, gratitude.
That's why, again, we didn't come up with a pithy, like, I hadn't got a pithy from a therapist who's done this for decades, who's whittled it down into like this beautiful little statement, or a John Gordon positive university, so it's just me, my brain, lacking.
Yeah, and what's that Mark Twain quote?
I've had a lot of worries in my life.
And some of them even happened, or something.
Most of them never happened,
yeah,
I think.
That idea that actually we worry about a great many things, but actually most of them don't happen.
Yes.
We've all had that experience recently. I was sort of preparing to go for a job interview, and I was like really nervous about it and really worried. And then I just was like, well, I've done the preparation I can do. I am who I am.
Yep.
I'll show up as best I can. And so the week leading up to the interview was so much better than the 2 weeks before. So that first week was really bad. Then the week leading up was really good. I just accepted I was going to be who I was. I couldn't control the outcome, but I could be what it was. And actually, that made the biggest difference. I just stopped worrying. Yeah. And there was a bit of an acceptance there. Just, hey, this is what it is. And also, after that first week of worrying, I was exhausted. I was just like, I can't keep worrying about this. I haven't got enough spare energy to do this.
Fair enough.
So that was kind of where the idea came from. I think, and there may be some other things where I've seen other people be a bit like that, where, people have been really nervous or worried about work in this situation. It's like, well, you can't change anything about it. It's not going to happen. And I just watched the person become much more pragmatic about it.
Yes.
And it just meant that there's so much more energy for the rest of their life just by not worrying.
Yeah.
Just be like, I let go of it. I'm fine with that. And so that's kind of seeing it a little bit in my life. That's where it came from.
As you're talking, I'm seeing 2 things that didn't appear to me before. Number 1, love it, Stephen Covey again. It's circle of influence, circle of control, or concern, sorry. And so the circle of concern being the worry space. This definitely concerns me. It has influence on my life, but I can't do anything about it. So that then is the recognition, well, let's focus on what I can, the circle of influence. And so, I'm going to release worrying about that. But I did think of an alliteration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's rumination to release, or something like that, releasing. So it's like,
it's not great.
It's not the best, but it's an alliteration. So from rumination,
I liked it if it was similar.
From rumination, to relinquishing or something.
Relinquishing, well.
And it's again, effectively, it's because worry is I'm thinking this could happen, and it's a negative outcome, and if this happens, it will affect this and that and the other. And it's almost I'm holding on to this idea that this bad thing is going to happen. Whereas that...
Or this good thing isn't going to happen.
Yeah, That's interesting. That's a new way of thinking about that. And so, but I need to control the outcome. So that's why I'm holding on to this worry, because maybe if I worry about it enough, I'll come up with a solution or something will change. Well, then when you go, well, there are things that I can't, so I'm going to release that. And okay, what happens. I'm not going to be fatalistic about it, but there are elements I can't control. And so that releasing, I think, as you were saying, it then allows me to go, well, I'm going to direct my energies in a much more productive or pragmatic, what can I actually do direction.
And if you wanted your couplet thing, obviously I've got a bit of background in sports psychology. Couplets. You do like couplets. I mean, who doesn't like the binary this to this? I mean, it's quite simple.
Exactly.
But
no space
one
for the
one of the things when some sports psychologists would talk about is that, you know, before a big elite competition, people get nervous. But actually, that nervousness or feeling of being anxious is very, very similar to almost indistinguishable from excitement.
Yes.
And so you can say, oh, I'm not nervous, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And actually you because it's so close, you just from one side to the other side, oh, I'm excited, I'm ready to go for this competition now, you know, in this sports situation. And maybe that's your couplet. Like, instead of, hey, I'm really worried that this is gonna happen, hey, I'm excited.
Yeah.
That this is a good thing. I'm ready to perform. I'm ready to do this.
I'm focused.
That won't work in every situation. Like you said, you're talking about the circle of concern versus the circle of influence. You can be worried about, you know, people are worried about World War III and, you know, these sorts of things. And it's like, well, I'm not excited about World War III all of a sudden, you know.
True. Very true.
But in certain situations, that framing can be quite helpful.
Yeah. Presumably, event-based. So you were saying about a job interview or a race or a recital, something that is discrete. This is the thing I'm turning up for, and I need to perform. The worry is, oh, I'll mess up. The excitement is, oh, it will go really well, or whatever, or just I will do here and I'll be my best. So, I'll be here and do my best.
And that's the thing, isn't it? We all know that we should spend less time worrying, you know. The Bible talks about do not worry a lot. You know?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Do not worry. Don't be anxious about this. But I think it's knowing which lever to pull in which situations. So sometimes it's, hey, I flip that to anxiety, or sometimes it's just like you said, I need to release that, or sometimes I need to accept that. But there are different ways out of anxiety, out of that nervousness or that worry. Probably depending on what the cause of it was, and to examine that. Hey, what fear is this treading on? What's going on here? What control do I have? It's easy to say, not so easy to do. Most of us probably avoid examining our worries very much.
Yeah,
and I don't think that helps.
Yes, and I wonder if, in a similar way, we've talked a bit about the idea of deadlines before, and how there are certain domains where deadlines crop up naturally and they help us, and that is a domain where I'm worried about it, or that's the one where maybe I can choose to see it as I'm now anticipating, or I'm focused, I'm energized for it. But in the broader domain of relationships, there aren't usually deadlines until maybe it's, you know, very obvious or it's too late, and those are the ones which are more ongoing. And my worry about maybe the way a relationship is going or the way things are in the family, that can lead to less helpful behaviors just in the long term, and that we don't confront the reality of, actually, I can't control another person. I can't control how they show up. Or even though I would love for this relationship to be better, I can't control the outcome. All I can do is choose how I show up. And that maybe it will be a helpful mindset shift, for a reminder for those of us who we're in difficult places. I can't control the relationship, but all I can do is show up in a way that might show I love them and I want the best for them. And the relinquishing of the control aspect sets aside a lot of the worry.
And I suppose one other thing I've come across when it comes to worry is from the book Chatter by Ethan Cruz, is that idea of, can you get perspective? Hey, you know, in the scale of my life, is this decision going to matter? You know? And when we were on the ship, I remember Andrew Scott, head of OM USA, came and did a talk. and he'd obviously listened to lots of people on the talk with it on the ship. They've been having a tough time, and he said, "Look, it feels like a big time for you at the moment. 2 years is a big commitment, but then in the scheme of your life, if even the whole 2 years was a waste of time, it's not that big. You might live to 80 or 100." Right.
Potentially.
So, potentially that's crazy, isn't it? Like, and actually just that perspective. And if you can say actually 1 or 2 years isn't that big a deal, probably most of the decisions and the things that we worry about and are anxious about are actually probably not that big a deal at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So there you go. From worry to not worry.
What are you worried about?
Don't worry.
Just got the rest of 2024 and beyond.
Every little thing's going to be all right.
Exactly. There's that great song.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been us. Hope you have been enjoying this mindset mini series, and we'll see you next week.
If only we'd done that better.